This is News at 8.
This is a primetime news bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. In this edition, Electoral Commission Chairman meets MPs over their concerns about waning confidence in the Commission. New Patriotic Party presidential hopeful Alain Kyerematen, the seventh contender to pick nomination forms, pledges to work closely with party leadership. Upper East Region women show how to make some cash from trash, making exportable crafts out of Bolgatanga's plastic waste. Government cautioned against adopting panic policies set to rather worsen the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. And President Mahama appeals for international support for government's homegrown policies to turn the economy around. There'll also be business, sports, showbiz, and international news too. Stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Lai. With Israel Lai.
Now, very first story. The chairman of the Electoral Commission says Parliament has within its rights to amend the law regulating elections in the country to address challenges with the process. Dr. Kudwa Farajang is said to have made the suggestion after meeting with the MPs over their concerns regarding the EC's conduct of the country's elections. Elton John Brobit was in Parliament and joins me in the studio with what he's been able to gather from the closed-door meeting between the EC boss and the MPs. Good evening to you, Elton.
Good evening, Izzy.
What are the MPs saying?
Well, I'm sure that, as you may be aware, the 2012 election was characterized by, violence, intimidation, particularly due to the rule that the EC announced that without formal verification, no one was going to be allowed to vote. And that actually, one of the reasons why the MPP, some members of the MPP went to court, was premised on the fact that not everybody had the chance to, vote, and some people voted without being verified by the machine. And the MPs are of the view that after the 2012 election, confidence in the electoral system has really gone down. So there was the need for the Electoral Commission to appear before the House and reassure members that it was still in charge.
Now, these concerns you talk about, is it a bipartisan concern, or it happens to be just with a particular party or a particular group?
Well, he was invited to brief the Committee of the Whole. The Committee of the Whole is made up of all members of Parliament and usually held in camera. So that's exactly what happened today. So it was a bipartisan, meeting. And I'm told that the AEC chairman spoke for just 10 minutes and allowed members of Parliament to, ask him all the questions. He was evasive in most of his responses to the members of Parliament, I'm told. Okay.
And this is, by the way, what we've been able to gather, because there was a closed-door meeting. And so the MPs have been telling you that exactly what transpired.
The key issue they discussed was whether or not the EC was going to amend its laws regarding the no verification, no vote, clause in the CI 75, which is regulating the holding of public elections in the country. Let me just quote to you section 31 of the CI 75, which requires that the presiding officer, before delivering a ballot paper to a person to vote, should establish by fingerprint or facial recognition that the person is a registered voter whose name and the voter identification number and particulars appear in the register. I'm sure that during the 2012 election, you yourself witnessed where some people went to the polling centers, even though they had registered their names, because the machine simply failed to recognize them. So they asked the EC in going forward, especially in 2016, the steps that are being taken to address this particular issue. Now, the EC's chairman response to them was to the fact that if you want us to incorporate the fact that even if the machines were unable to recognize you, people within the community should be able to vote for you, that indeed you are the person standing there. There will be the need for them to amend the law, because as it stands on, the law says that without verification you are not to vote. And the member said that you have to bring this particular proposal to Parliament so that we can study it and then give you the recognition.
Okay. So he threw it to the MPs, and the MPs effectively, essentially threw it back to him.
Exactly, because the MPs cannot initiate this move. The EC would then have to, present a new bill to Parliament that will seek to amend the existing law. And also, the EC chairman told them that all the concerns you are raising is captured in the recommendation made by the judges of the Supreme Court when they ruled on the election petition.
Yeah.
So if you are asking me to provide further particulars, really, you have, the judgment that was delivered by the judge. Indeed, give them copies of the judgment for them to study, because ahead will be an IPAC meeting to look at the recommendations made by the Supreme Court judge regarding how to address some of the issues that were raised by the petitioners who took the matter to the Supreme Court.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Elton John Brobe. Elton John Brobe was in Parliament, and he gathered from that meeting that happened between the EC chairman, Dr. Kudjo Afari-Gyan, and the MPs. We're staying with politics, and the new Patriotic Party presidential hopeful, Alan Kyerematen, has assured party executives he will work closely with them to lead the party to victory in the 2016 general elections. He gave the assurance when he picked his nomination form to enable him contest the flag bearership race.
Alan Kyerematen indicated he was ready and capable of transforming the country should he win the flag bearership race and consequently the presidential elections.
I want to assure you as national executives of two things. First, I'll work with you to build a strong, united and financially viable and sustainable party. Secondly, I'll work with your team to lead our party to victory in 2016. What I believe Ghana needs now is a transformational leader who can combine vision with action. And I believe that, in all humility, I can offer that to the people of this country.
This will be Alan Kyerematen's second attempt to lead the party after losing to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2008. The NPP vice chairman, who handed the forms to the aspirant, indicated the party needed a united front if it is to win power come 2016.
At the end of the day, there will be one winner, and they will all have to rally around the winner. And if we damage each other at this moment, we'll be giving ammunition, in our opinion, to our opponents. And then they end up using it against us. I think in the guidelines, rules and regulations, now we are saying that we can, as it were, visit the sins of the son on the fathers. So that if those offshoots or agents or people who act for and on behalf of candidates do things that we believe go against the guidelines, rules and regulations, we may have to go to the fathers and visit their sins on them.
Meanwhile, Director of Elections for the NPP says the party is yet to come to a decision concerning calls that the date of Congress should be brought forward.
December 6th is the tentative date. What it means then is that it could change subject to the decision of the National Council. There is a meeting that is coming up ahead, and I'm sure those matters will be concluded at that platform.
There have been suggestions the Congress be held in September instead of the December 6th date to allow enough time for the settlement of scores likely to fester after what is feared could be a vicious flag bearership contest. 7 aspirants have so far picked up nomination forms. Apart from Alan Kyerematen, we have Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Stephen Asamoah Boateng, Joe Gate, Kofi Konadu Aprekun, Kofi Osei Asare, and Francis Adai Nimo. The aspirants have until July 7 to turn in their nomination forms.
The uncertainties caused by the deterioration in Ghana's macroeconomic environment and the attendant high cost of doing business and cost of living is taking a great toll on Ghanaians. Government is therefore being cautioned against adopting what distinguished business executive Ishmael Yamsing describes as panic policies. Speaking at the opening of a 3-day management program by his consultancy, the former board chairman of the Ghana Investment Promotion Council says such decisions would only add to the pain, frustration and confusion suffered by businesses and individuals.
The consistent failure by successive regimes to ensure fiscal discipline in the management of Ghana's economy, especially during election years, has resulted in accumulated fiscal imbalances, which directly undermine business confidence, and with it, frustration and hardship for businesses and individuals. The former GIPC board chairman, however, revealed the challenges also offer hope in the midst of crisis, the theme for the three-day event.
You can't borrow yourself out of difficulty. We should have the discipline of just making sure that we don't excessively spend beyond what we can get in as by way of revenue. All of our citizens demand so much from them, especially towards elections, and of course they want to show that they have brought development, and development is expensive. But I think it would be better if we all understood and planned our lives in a way that makes it possible for us, not to go through the excesses that we have seen, because they just are disruptive.
Ishmael Yamson called for political will for consensus building with a shared vision to redeem strategies, plans and actions.
Rolling back expenditure means that some projects will not be undertaken, money will not be easily available, promises made may not easily be fulfilled. So they are very difficult choices. And that's why you need a political will to go through that period. Of course, once you have brought everything under control, then beyond that you can begin to do this systematically and in a way that really helps to develop the country and to grow it.
Ishmael Yamson said the economic concerns being expressed today were the same in 2009 and advised political leaders to learn from history to help build a robust and resilient economy in the future.
Government has been called upon to develop a national land bank policy to mitigate illegal grabbing of land from locals in the name of plantation development. In a speech to mark World Day to Combat Desertification, National Coordinator for the Global Environment Facility and Small Grants Program, George Austin, blamed the alarming rate of desertification in Ghana on the lack of effective implementation of policies. Redwan Karim Osman reports from Bojase in the Central Region.
It is estimated that between 10 and 20 million hectares of lands are rendered useless for cultivation every year due to desertification around the world. 2/3 of the African continent has become dry lands, with 74% of the continent's agricultural dry lands also seriously degraded. In Ghana, more than 35% of the land surface is prone to desertification. Research also indicates that the land area prone to desertification has almost doubled over the last 2 decades. The World Day to Combat Desertification is a day set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to promote public awareness on desertification. This year's, which is on the theme, Land Belongs to the Future, Let Climate Change Prove It, highlights the benefits of mainstreaming sustainable management of land policies and practices into collective response to climate change. At a commemoration ceremony at Bojase Jatokra in the Ewutu Senya district of the Central Region, Country Coordinator for Climate Action Network, Samuel Doche, called for proper enforcement of policies to deal with the menace.
I want to encourage all of us here that when any politician appears here, come 2016, gather courage and ask the person in their manifesto what policies and programs do they have for the protection of the land that God gave to Ghana. If the answer is not encouraging, I believe that that party should not be voted into power, because if we put people in power that will not help us to protect our land.
National Coordinator for the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program, George Austin, said the UNDP has invested $300,000 in restoring degraded lands and appealed to Ghanaians to adopt ecosystem-based adaptation innovations to cushion the worst impacts of climate change.
The challenge we have is the implementation. You know, we in Ghana, we pride ourselves in planning, but implementation is the challenge. Now, how do we translate the policy into reality? That is a challenge. And it's not only a challenge for government, but challenge for the civil society as well. You know, we need to reduce the policy into ordinary language so that people can understand and see the policy direction and follow.
Omahini of Aguna Diakwa, Nana Amuakwa II, expressed worry over the deplorable nature of roads and appealed to the District Assembly to come to their aid.
The long-term solution is for the Assembly to ensure that the road is properly worked on. Okay, the road must be rehabilitated. Otherwise, whatever the people, the community does will not help much.
The Bojiasi Jatokura, together with two other adjoining communities, have suffered the worst form of desertification over the years. The three communities will be given 1,000 seedlings each to begin a tree planting initiative as a way of restoring the deserted lands. Redwan Karim Dini Osman, Joy News, Bojiasi.
The Upper East Regional Police Command is investigating 2 police officers and 1 civilian for illegal possession of arms. The 2 officers, Corporal Francis Lomete of the Sakasaka Police Station and Corporal Ernest Kensa of the Tamale Police Station, all in the northern region, together with Samuel Echampong, a civilian believed to be a taxi driver based in Tamale, were arrested upon a tip-off on Monday, June 16, 2014 at a guest house at Garu in the Upper East region.
Briefing the media, Upper East Regional Police Commander ACP Simon Afiku said a search conducted on a 3-man revealed 1 AK-47 rifle, 3 magazines with 63 rounds of 7.64 mm ammunitions and 1 pistol with 13 rounds of 9 mm ammunitions, cash of 15,000 Ghana cedis, 2 mobile phones and 2 police ID cards bearing the names of the officers were also retrieved. ACP Afeku said the 3 suspects upon interrogation said they were in Garu to spend the night in the guest house and to buy some old Ghana coins, old Singer sewing machines and old China bottles the next day. ACP Afeku said the suspects are going to be investigated for various offences.
You asked permission to travel to your hometown in Zarungu, in Bolga here, and then you are found in Garu with arms. That's why I indicated in the first place that they have misconducted themselves in the first place. They have not behaved according to the service regulations.
The Upper East Regional Police Commander urged the public to always provide the police with timely and accurate information as they battle to fight crime in the region. Abdulsoris reports for Joy News.
1 person has died and 11 others are in critical condition at the Wa Regional Hospital following a motor accident on the Tuna-Saola Highway. The victims were traveling from Wa to Techiman when the driver lost control, sending the vehicle into a ditch. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Eyewitnesses say the accident took place around 2:30 p.m. between the Tuna and Sola Highway. The victims were in a Wa-bound Techiman Sanyong bus when the accident occurred. One of the eyewitnesses, who gave his name as Puatin, said he suspected the driver lost control of the vehicle when he tried to negotiate a curve around Kumasa and bumped into a ditch. 6 of the victims, including a 4-year-old boy who was traveling with a grandmother, were taken back to the Wa Regional Hospital. 4 of the victims were later brought by a Metro Mass Transit bus. The arrival of the victims at the outpatient department kept all the nurses busy, attending to them in order to stabilize their condition. The only person who was in stable condition is this 23-year-old, who gave his name as Abdul Samad. He blamed the driver of the vehicle for the accident. The incident attracted a large number of people to the hospital, who either came to the hospital for treatment or to visit their sick relative. Rafiq Salam's report from WA.
Women in the Upper East region seem to have found a way around the plastic waste menace that's been the bane of authorities in Ghana's big cities and towns. Rather than treating it as trash, the women in the regional capital, Bolgatanga, are weaving tons of them into usable crafts for export. 30-year-old Sufa Yopore, who came up with the idea, is training hundreds of women to learn the trade of making cash from trash. Joy News' Justice Beidou visited her center and filed this report.
On the outskirts of Bolgatanga, a group of women sing and dance to their newfound source of livelihood. Before now, these women, mostly widows, were unemployed and had to live on subsistence farms in a region where bad weather usually leads to low farm yields.
We have only one season here. So when I get to the dry season, you see all our women moving to Tumu or Walwale to farm, to look for food, to support their husbands. So in the dry season, you don't find any woman around. Then you see the young girls and the young boys also moving to Kumasi, Kayoyo and other things.
Bolgatanga, capital of the Upper East region, produces at least 500 tons of garbage every day, most of them uncollected. But that's about to change. Middle-aged Sophia Yopori is the brain behind this initiative.
The plastic waste that we also recycle is it's based on all the tissue rubbers, like pure water rubbers, yogurt packs, salt packs, anything called rubber. We recycle them.
These women are, however, challenged.
We are weaving everything rubber. This is what we now survive on, and we are supporting our families with it. We pay school fees and every debt with the money from it. We need support to sell what we produce.
Means of transportation, and then they need to disinfect it, and then how we also sell it. We are only basing on the European market, in which they don't come frequently. So they produce the thing, but then how to sell it is a problem.
Sophia and her trash weavers may be cash-strapped for now, but they are not giving up yet because they believe trash is cash.
President John Mahama has appealed to the United Kingdom and Switzerland to support government's homegrown initiatives to get Ghana's economy back on track. He made the appeal through the country's heads of mission, who were among 6 new envoys to present their credentials to him at the Flagstaff House. Gifty Andwapia has more.
The new Swiss ambassador, Gerard Brugger, was first to present his credentials to the president. Adding business to the fiscal discussion, President Mahama said Ghana's mortgage market is ripe.
Housing is one of the major pressure points that we face. We face a deficit of housing of anything between 500,000 and 1 million housing units. Ghana faces some short-term economic challenges, but we've taken, quite serious steps to try to turn around the deficit, and we're seeing positive signals that the economy is turning around. And so, as one of our critical development partners, we hope that we can work with Switzerland to implement the homegrown fiscal consolidation policy that we have come up with.
Ambassador Brugger, on the other hand, says Switzerland will explore Ghana's business potentials.
In Switzerland, business mainly consists of small and medium-sized enterprise, so there is something we have very much in common with Ghana. We also feel that the development of small and medium-sized enterprises is really a key to progressing economically. And we will do on our end what needs to be done to promote Ghana really as an economical location. because of the good governance and a strong legal basis that exists, which is key ingredient for Swiss businesses to come here to invest and to seek partnerships.
Presenting his credence letters, Guinean Ambassador Arafan Kabin Kaba invited the president on a working tour to Guinea. President Mahama shared with him Ghana's ambition to become an electricity generation hub, so it will be in a position to supply its neighbors. The president, whilst receiving the UK High Commissioner John Benjamin, commended his country for its assistance to Ghana.
I cannot talk about our relations with the UK without speaking of the role of DFID and the significance that Sally is a member of your team here this morning, and to continue to commend them for the partnership that we have shared in various sectors of the economy, especially now in respect of public finance management, in respect of payroll strengthening and management and all that. I also mentioned the assistance to the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. This is a program that is a social protection program that goes to the root of poverty.
John Benjamin told President Mahama they are committed to promoting the private sector.
Our development partnership, where we are keen to work with you on facing the economic challenges which you described, where we are keen to work with the government of Ghana to close the development gap and to promote also the growth of a private sector which can act as a motor of growth and employment in the future. We very much hope that the Atuabo project is given parliamentary approval very shortly, and you mentioned Tullow Oil's involvement, which will be a very long-standing commitment to Ghana.
Rwanda's new ambassador to Ghana, Joseph Habineza, came next. For him, President Mahama was full of praise for what he described as the significant progress the once conflict-ridden country has made. There was also the High Commissioner for New Zealand and Ambassador to Ireland, Sir Lockwood Smith, and that of Venezuela, Alejandro Israel Correa Ortega. Discussions centered on sharing technical knowledge in areas of competitive advantage, especially agriculture.
The ECOWAS Community Court has 7 new judges. President John Mahama, who swore them into office in his capacity as ECOWAS chairman, urged them to be impartial and honest and to contribute to the integration of the sub-region.
The new Swiss ambassador, Gerard Brugger, was first to present his credentials to the president. Adding business to the fiscal discussion, President Mahama said Ghana's mortgage market is ripe.
Housing is one of the major pressure points that we face. We face a deficit of housing of anything between 500,000.
We do apologize that we're taking a break. We'll be back with business news. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Business. I am Matilda Nyakwa Kweku. The continuing depreciation of the cedi, rising inflation and high cost of borrowing are said to be hampering the private sector's ability to help develop Ghana's economy. Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Osei said businesses are collapsing as a result. He is therefore calling on government to think up prudent economic policies to support the private sector.
The very unfriendly state of the economy, according to the PEF chief executive, has affected job creation and limited the competitiveness of the private sector.
The indecision at the highest levels, because now we are in a limbo. Things falling apart in the sense that the indices, high inflation, high cost of doing business, bulging deficits, large borrowings, they're affecting private sector. So power outages, those things do not lend themselves well for us to continue to do business the way we have. And if you couple that, as I said, with the high cost of doing business and without creating additional markets, no competition, the profit margins of private sector is very, very thin. So any little bit, we fall apart.
Speaking at the Ishmael Yamson and Associates Management Program, Barima Osei Asare said the power crisis has also increased the cost of doing business.
Government itself should be listening. A listening government is a valuable government, because if you listen to the private sector, they have risked their inheritance, their livelihood, everything they have to set up their business. Governments come and go. 8 years tops, the government is gone, but the private sector remains. So if we dialogue and consult with the private sector, obviously the private sector coming from a position where they want to influence what you do so we can do business. Somebody will say, oh, they're only looking for money. Because of the money element, that's how they're able to create jobs. And you want the entire citizenry to be able to get jobs. And private sector doesn't go to create jobs without profitability. So what we say in government, let's sit together and find ways of addressing this power shortages.
He advised government to dialogue with the private sector to formulate policies to solve the current power crisis. He also called for prudent fiscal management and monitoring policies to support businesses.
The General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress, Kofi Asamoah, has called on government to intensify its efforts in addressing the housing deficit in the country. He says government's commitment to affordable housing appears to be a rhetoric, as nothing concrete appears to be done to address it. He was speaking at the launch of a housing project for the Public Sector Workers Union of the Ghana Revenue Authority.
He stressed the need for government to put proper measures in place to address the housing deficit, especially with the completion of the affordable housing project, which has been taken over by SNET.
It's a reminder to government that the housing deficit is so huge. If they don't do much, we will not be able to meet the targets as it were. From the level of the TUC, we've been hammering on SNET to make sure that it redirects its focus on providing housing projects for workers. You may recall that for some in the past, they did that to a level and then they changed their focus into where they claimed they wanted to make money to pay pensioners. But we are seriously asking that they reactivate that project that they started in Tema and almost in all the regional capitals, to ensure that the housing deficits that we have in the country, particularly for working people, is in a way alleviated.
The Public Sector Workers Union of the Ghana Revenue Authority has flagged off a mass housing scheme that would provide affordable accommodation to its members. GRA Commissioner General George Blankson said it is unacceptable that workers should retire from active service without a home of their own. He urged them not to wait until retirement to own a house.
And to me, it is this quiet but very significant revolution which has greater impact on our lives as workers, especially when we have retired from service. Let us approach it more scientifically. Let us approach it relying on modern finance system and structures to have the worker own his own house, because it's only when the worker has a peace of mind that he can achieve high productivity.
Project manager Ken Trinebo explains payment will be made on installment basis for workers for a period up to 10 years.
It is to enable staff who have their own land at least acquire homes before retirement, and also officers who have lands within the land banks in GRA. GRA, through the union, has acquired so many plots of land, from Pampram to Gomua, Nyano, Ashalaja, and then Oyibi. Staff have these lands there, but for some challenges cannot develop them. So this project is to enable officers who intend to develop their land at least own their houses through this project. It is a self-financing project. Staff are paying for this project, not GRA. Every month, you would have some money taken from your salary to pay for the facility.
The housing project is expected to be completed in July 2015.
Agric workers are impressing on the GNPA the need to justify its readiness to regulate the cashew industry. The GNPA wants to be empowered to regulate the cashew industry, just as Cocoa Board does for the cocoa industry. The General Agric Workers Union has backed the call as important for the country to maximize the economic benefits of the cash crop. The union says the GNPA, however, needs to first provide its capacity to regulate the industry. According to the GNPA, the country loses about $200 million in foreign exchange every year from the export of cashew. For the union, the way out is for the industry to be regulated. Now, the World Cup season comes with its own anxieties, especially for business owners and managers who worry about a dip in productivity as their staff opt to watch the numerous matches played throughout the tournament. Though this may be a factor, some analysts believe productivity should not necessarily suffer if an organization's human resource management principles are strictly enforced. Abigail Aduma-Kwenchi reports.
6 days into the World Cup, there are concerns productivity at workplaces will be greatly affected, especially as Brazil finds itself in a time zone that's some hours behind Ghana. The result is most Ghanaian soccer fans will stay up late into the night to watch these games.
What I do, I put my earphone one way, I'll be like, I'll put it here, and I just relax. So if you don't know, you think that this guy is working, but I'm listening commentary. Yeah.
It's not easy actually, but I managed to watch the Ghana game. You know, it falls in the evening. I managed to watch actually. I didn't wake up early to go to work. I was late for 30 minutes, but I watched.
Personally, I think this season is for the football. We have to focus and support our Black Star. That's very important. So, I mean, I'll focus on football for now and watch because it's once in a while. So after this one, 4 years before the World Cup. So not every time, all the time. So personally, I would like to focus on watch the World Cup. Yes, at the expense of work.
A World Cup season presents a very exciting environment. Now, the euphoria is so much so that work is affected. Productivity is now questioned. Employers should not be surprised when workers ask for leave or excuse themselves for some days to work just because of the season.
Analysts, however, say workers are only taking advantage of the weak systems in the organizations.
The problem with a lot of institutions in Ghana is that there are no standards, and even where there are standards, there are very weak enforcement mechanisms. So you find that people don't really have any standards they are working with. They come in when they like, they leave when they like, they don't meet any targets, no targets are set for them ab initio. People don't understand issues like mean turnaround times, there are no customer delivery standards. So what's happening for most institutions is that because there are no standards, or there are standards that are not being enforced, nobody gets rewarded for excellence and nobody gets punished for deviance.
He noted that leaders should set good examples for organizational and service excellence moving forward.
Even though I've gone on and on about standards, if these standards are even in place and CEOs and senior management are poor archetypes of these standards, it doesn't matter whether they were written in blue ink or red ink or green ink. Once I can see poor performance in a senior person, it's a major disincentive to want to give of my best as a junior employee. So I think the number one prescription should be to get leaders and their senior management teams to be living, walking examples and archetypes of the organizational and service excellence that we are pushing for as corporate Ghana and that we are pushing for as public sector Ghana through the ministries, departments and agencies. We should put off all TVs at workplaces during the World Cup period. Or if they have to be, or let them stay on business channels even after the World Cup is done. I think that's one of the practical ways of dealing with this issue.
There are those who would, however, argue that a good result after a match could motivate workers to give off their best. So to keep the TV sets on or off for the World Cup, that will be up to you and your boss, unless you run your own business, in which case it's all up to you. Abigail Adumakunchi for Joy News.
Oh, that's food for thoughts, and that's how we end business. Sports comes up next.
Certainly we can talk more about the World Cup in sports tonight, and a lot is happening. Well, I'm not a very excited man wearing a Spanish jersey because they are definitely heading out of the competition. We'll be telling you more about the game that's ongoing with Chile. Currently, Spain losing by 2-0, but there's some parts to add, though. Let's talk about what happened this afternoon. Netherlands managed to win against Australia by 3-2. Never mind Australia getting the first goals.
Robert Martins Indy, and it's comfortable in the end for Ryan. He might go all the way himself, and Arjen Robben scores. It's his third goal of this World Cup, and he's now scored in 7 of his last 8 international appearances. Despair for the Socceroos. The Netherlands in front, but Australia looking for a quick comeback. They've got it. Tim Cahill, astonishing. It's almost as if Tim Cahill is saying to Arjen Robben, anything you can do, I can match it. Two-1 Australia. Australia said, judge us on our performance in the last 70 minutes against Chile, not on our opening 20-minute performance. Van Persie, he's onside, 2-2.
All right, so Robin Van Persie cannot just stop scoring. That means that they are through to the next stage of the competition because of what's happened in tonight's game as well. Spain have lost to Chile by 2-0. Defending champions are out. It's just like what happened to Italy when they won the World Cup in 2006. They went out of the group stages in 2010. The same happened to France. They won the World Cup in 1998, went out of the group stages in 2002. Let's just have a look at what's happened there for Spain. It was absolutely unforgivable. The fans would not know what has really hit them. 2 excellent goals coming through, Vagar scoring and Andriguez also getting a goal there and showing that Spain are in all sorts of trouble. They tried everyone. There was Fernando Torres, there was everybody who had to come on for them. There was Catola, there was Diego Costa, but still they were not able to break this Chilean side who have been very, very solid. Of course, their coach Sampali has been doing a fantastic job and has gone all the way through this. Chile and Netherlands have qualified from Group B, actually the first to be confirmed, because Australia and Spain have no point in there. So they will play the final game to decide who tops the group. In Group A, you have to watch out. The hosts Brazil are right there, and you don't want to meet them. So it's going to be about who tops the group and runs away from Brazil. Let's now talk about Cameroon. They're going to be playing games against Croatia in Group A. Africa's plight has been so bad. We've not really had the goals coming in for us. What could happen? Here is a preview of the game between Cameroon and Croatia.
Cameroon trained on Tuesday for their crucial Group A clash against Croatia at Arena de Amazonia in Manaus, a match that could possibly become a knockout encounter. Both teams lost their opening games last week to Mexico and Brazil, and following the stalemate between the hosts and the Mexicans, the Africans and the Balkans will be looking to give themselves a fighting chance of qualifying for the last 16. Cameroon skipper Samuel Eto'o travelled with the team to Manaus despite causing a stir in the camp with his utterances on social media, indicating that he might not feature for the side because of a knee injury. The 33-year-old is playing in his 4th and possibly last finals and has been an integral part of the Cameroonian side since making his debut in 1997.
I think for both teams, this being a decisive match, that it is something that will be decided with the team spirit. And I have confidence in my team.
Croatia will go into the match as possible favourites following their gallant performance against Brazil and because of their superior ranking. They have been boosted by the return of Mario Mandzukic, who sat out the opening game due to suspension, and will be also looking to the likes of Luka Modric and Ivan Rakitic to come to the party and help them claim maximum points.
I'm very glad to be back. I could hardly wait for the day to arrive. I worked quite hard in training. This is maybe one of the most important matches for us. We are ready, and I personally can't wait for it to start.
Okay, so we find out what Cameroon do tonight. The game is just in an hour's time, and it's very interesting to find out what the African teams are doing so far. Only Ivory Coast picking the one win against Japan. That'll be all for sports, of course. That's the end of the game. Just having a look at what's happening there. So bad. Spain out of this. Defending champions could not defend it. Ironically, the game was played at the Maracanã Stadium, where they beat Chile some time ago, and actually where they lost to Brazil by 3-0. They wanted to defend the title there. They just didn't have the ticket because they're out of this. I'm George Adder Jr. That's all for sports tonight. Israel joins us with some more. Have a good night.
Season 4 of the Close-Up Salsa Fiesta has been launched with a new twist. Dubbed the Freshness Dance Revolution, it promises to be very different and more engaging with the inclusion of the popular Ghanaian dances Azonto and Al-Qaeda.
The Salsa Fiesta competition was first introduced in 2011, and it has since offered salsa lovers the opportunity to take lessons in the dance and compete with each other for both Salsa King and Salsa Queen titles. This year's competition, which hopes to be more relaxed, will be open to as many young people as possible to generate more fun. According to the organizers, one does not need to be a salsa expert to participate. A series of simple salsa fusion dance moves such as salsa and azonto, salsa and al-Qaeda will be taught through social media, musical programs on TV and on the spot dance lessons. Another exciting twist to this year's edition is the involvement of celebrity salsa performances. Names of such celebrities will be made public soon. There will also be performances from seasoned musicians. Winners of this year's salsa competition will be rewarded with exciting items such as Dr. Dre beat, cash prizes, and hefty hampers from Unilever.
Dancehall sensation and mobile award winner Samini has extended his show business by opening a pub which he says aims at offering both his fellow celebrities and patrons a special treat when they visit. As part of the side attraction, he also has a mini golf course attached.
Dansadom Lounge and Restaurant in Dansoman, a suburb of Accra, is the latest pub in town, and it is owned by dancehall mogul Samini. Explaining his motivation for Damsterdam, Samini says it has always been his desire to run a business that would run on a daily basis and would also add to his music career.
Well, after years of hard work, after years of piling up funds and everything, you want to invest into something more tangible, something more lucrative that you can rely on after years. So this is the start of something that's going to break into branches all over, become...
The center comprises a nightclub, restaurant, and a sitting area, which overlooks the performance stage, and a mini golf course, which has become the talk of town. He says for now, he would be performing at Damsterdam from time to time, but he would have a defined schedule later, adding that he would encourage other artists to use his premises to perform. Samini also used the occasion to advise his fans and underground artists to stay focused and apply positive attitude to work. Samini says apart from drinking and eating, customers would also have the opportunity to compete for fun.
And that'll be all for Showbiz.